self-worth. Would you say before and after?
Yeah.
This is the main thing for women, for everybody, but for women especially, because it looks like, and I know it's true because it's a spiritual issue, women are born with low self-worth, period. Not many women have very high self-worth from the beginning. Maybe they work on it, but not at the beginning. So a lot of women suffer from low self-worth. So how did it change? That's what we mainly do. We change self-worth inside.
Huge change. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that, other than it's similar to what I was mentioning. When you see yourself in situations and you can see how you're handling it, you're feeling it, how you're thinking it, how you're handling it so different. And then you know, oh, it's because the self-worth is very different.
And your behavior, we've discussed it many times, your behavior is automatic in terms of, this is not your mental thing, oh, I should be doing it, but I'm afraid inside, or I feel bad inside, or I feel inadequate inside. How many times with other clients as well, people would be afraid to take a test, or they take a test and they failed, and then after the session they go and they pass it with flying colors. This is just example of how it changes inside. This is not mental. This is not saying, oh, I can do it, right? No, it's actually feeling. You don't say anything, you just behave naturally in a very different way, correct?
Exactly. And that's how you know that the change is really there, is because you don't, a lot of times I don't even notice it until after the fact. And that's a huge part of the work, is that we could, going back to, reading, podcasts, seminars, retreats, all of that, which is all good and fine, they have their place. But you don't know if it's really clicking for real until you feel, think, and behave differently. And when you do all those things on the mental level, there's no way that you can really feel, think, and behave differently. And then when you've evolved, when you've shifted, when you've released and processed, you literally just change. And then you realize it, or at least in my experience, I realized it after the fact. I surprised myself. I just feel, think, and act different. And then I look back and I'm like, wow, okay, I really did change. That was my proof.
That's what counts. You're not doing it mentally. That's what counts. You see it and then you say, oh, wow, I did change. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm sure it's the same with you. I don't remember if we talked about it. When you came to me, obviously you were brave enough, again, I will repeat, to quit your job, to start the business, and planning to start the business. So obviously you're young, you still are young, but you were younger at that time, right? You're young, you're full of energy, you're smart, you're intelligent, you have training. So you had everything to succeed. So you were not, but the point here I'm making, you were not even aware how low self-worth there was inside, right? So we all, because I've been like this, the same. That's how I started my spiritual journey. Oh, I was on top of the world. I could take it all on, bring it on, right? And then you realize, because you're doing the work and you're uncovering stuff inside, right? More and more. And then you're saying, oh my goodness. I had a friend who said she's very, very, again, like I described, all the confident and everything, outgoing and everything. And she told me one day, she said, I know deep inside I'm still working on my self-worth. But if you come to me and tell me in my face that I have low self-worth, I'll punch you in the face. We were laughing about it, right? Because really, I cannot tell a woman you have low self-worth, because she doesn't even realize it. So she thinks she's fine, right? Did you start like this too? So, I mean, I did not want to be punched in the face, so I didn't say anything. I let you uncover it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's layers there for sure.
Yeah,
And
you are not even aware of it. So, in other words, when people come to me, they're not aware of what's inside.
absolutely.
And then the work
Yeah.
starts and the masks are taken. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember at the beginning, so I have always, and anyone listening who's highly sensitive and very intuitive and um, uh, all of that this could resonate, where I thought that I was so aware. I thought that I was so in touch with my feelings and I knew what was inside, because I just have always lived a more of an internal life just by my nature, my personality. But the difference is when we do this work, you really get to the core of it and process and release it, which is way different than just. So the way that I remember it from the beginning is, and this is the best way for me to explain it. I thought that I was so aware and in touch with my feelings, but really I was only going like here, if we're to give it like a level. But then when we do this work, we go like all the way to the core. And so when you're going from here to here, you think, oh my gosh, I'm feeling all this, I'm thinking all this, I'm going through all of this, I'm so aware, but that's like half of it, not even. And then when you really go all the way, then you realize really what's to be deeply or what's deep and needs to be uncovered. And it's amazing because you realize there's a lot of junk in there.
You showed the great visual. This is great. I'm going to remember this here and here.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
because this is mindset.
Mhm.
People do a lot of mindset work, but
Yeah,
mindset is even in the name, mind
right.
set. The mind is already set. Well, maybe they're resetting it, but it's all in the mind. It's mental. We go deep. We go
Yeah.
very spiritually deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a whole nother level. And because I thought that all there really was to it was, I mean, everything to me was like completely separated, even though I didn't know that it was completely separated. I had all this spiritual knowledge, and then I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm an emotional person. I feel my feelings because I always allowed myself to feel, which is very different than people who don't allow themselves. Like they don't even know what emotion they're living in, or even know what it feels like, or ever cry. Or there's people like that, right? But I just thought, oh, I'm fine. I know when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm fearful. I let myself feel it. That's not what we're talking about. This is deep work that, I mean, I could just go on and on, but I'll stop
Yeah.
myself before I go on a tangent.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. You did describe it very well. Exactly. Because and the main point, I do want you to repeat it because this is so big. And it's not coming from me because of course I know and I say it, but it's coming from you as a client, right? Not the mentor as I am spiritual. So you said you've been in a spiritual world already. You've done it. You went to retreats. You've done all the work that because you were seeking for answers, and you were not even aware that two worlds did not match for you. They did not meet. Spiritual world was here. Let's read about it. Let's enjoy it. Let's say light and love. Yeah, that's great. But physical, let's hustle here. Let's do physical work, whatever it is. They did not mesh. They did not
I
connect.
have like angel bumps right now because I vividly remember being in the car thinking this, and also speaking to one of my friends who helped me to get onto the path, which eventually led me to you. But this was more of the metaphysical and mental stuff. I remember reading about these spiritual concepts and this feelings of bliss and peace and harmony and all of these things that a lot of them were like books and videos, YouTube that I would watch and stuff. And I remember thinking like, I would have these fleeting moments of feeling this peace that they talk about and this bliss that they talk about. And I would have these moments, and I just remember saying to my friend and thinking this in the car, like very strongly, like, I want to have these moments every day. I want to have these moments for hours. I want to have these moments for days upon days. And they would just be these fleeting moments. And it was actually pretty sad and kind of depressing, which was why I so strongly wanted to work with you, because I knew that it was different. And I have that now. I have hours and days that I just feel that peace, that harmony, that bliss, that connection that I didn't even know was even possible, or where to even source it from. Like, I didn't have a relationship with God. I didn't have a relationship with the divine. I read about it, but I didn't know how to get, there was such a gap between what I knew cognitively and what I was experiencing in my life. And I had no idea how to bridge that gap. And so that's what is so cool about working with you, Irina, because we do this deep, deep personal work that our soul, and we call it life stream, but soul, for people listening who relate with that word, that your soul is like waiting for you to do, waiting for you to get on this path. And we do it in the most practical way. So it's like, imagine that, like you're doing the deepest work in the most practical way. Like,
That's right.
Pretty amazing.
That's right. That's